What up, everyone? It's your boy Red Hawk. It is Monday, May 11, 2026 at 11:12 p.m. in the afternoon. For the intro to this video, I am going to do something a little different. I am going to act out what it could have been if I challenged one of the chiefs that I pretty much dislike back in one of my squadrons to a Muay Thai match. So here we go. Well, damn, Reggie, that was quite the kick. I don't know where you get that from. Are you some kind of ninja? No, chief, but if I was a ninja, I wouldn't tell anybody about it. In fact, I just go to Thailand to train in any of the Muay Thai gyms that I went to. I would go to in either Koh Samui, Phuket, or Chiang Mai, not necessarily Bangkok. Oh yeah, and that's for calling me an imitation of John Lloyd Cruz. When I actually look at myself as a younger combination of Ken Watanabe, Hiroyuki Sanada, and maybe even a little bit of Jay Manalo. So you're welcome for the clarification. Oh, and by the way, yeah, folks, that was just one of the chiefs that I pretty much didn't get along with, and he was from the Filipino mafia. I'm not going to tell you exactly what his rate was or which division or department he was in, but yeah, I didn't like his teasing, and so I pretty much acted that one out as if I was delivering a roundhouse kick to his midsection in a hypothetical Muay Thai kickboxing amateur fight or even a sparring match. I don't mean to take any more jabs, hooks, uppercuts, uh, forward teep kicks, or roundhouse kicks, or even leg kicks to goat lockers everywhere, but I felt like I had to on that one. Just so you know how I feel about bad apples, or as I call them, thugs and shrews back in the fleet. And I'm doing that in the friendliest way possible. That aside, let's get right into the meat of things for this podcast video. Where should I start? Okay, so my family, we used to have so much fun back in Quezon City, Philippines. I could remember musical and movie and video game experiences. We usually recorded those on VHS through one of our cumbersome Panasonic or JVC uh, VHS cameras, which is pretty much handled like a bazooka, and it would have some kind of large microphone protruding out of the front, right below the lens. And of course, there was a handle that's almost like the one on the M16 and the M4, and we would carry that throughout our home movie recordings. We used to have fun, really have fun back then. There was a segment of this home movie set in which mom, Bio Dad, and even my grandmother would watch a Toto concert in Paris through VHS. And that concert happened in 1990, and David Page was the singer. Back then, I kind of looked at Bio Dad as an imitation of David Page because he played the keyboards and sang like Page did. Uh, Even then, too, there was a portion of me just dancing in my while wearing just a tank top and my briefs as a 3 year old, 3 year old little toddler, and then just rocking my heart out. Uh, the first part of that segment was that I had a VHS tape in my hand, which I would emulate as a guitar. And then I would go to another room and then get my plastic toy guitar just to play it out like either Steve Lukather or one of the Porcaro brothers. It was either Mike or Jeff. I can't quite remember. And the keyboards, though, I should have done it like Paige did, but I just clapped my hands throughout his keyboard solo in the Africa performance. And then afterwards, when Africa was done, there was me just slow rocking it with my plastic toy guitar to I Won't Hold You Back Now. And the video pretty much cut after that performance. Other parts, other days, we also had segments in which Bio Dad and one of my younger uncles blared out Rosanna, again by Toto, and then captured my younger uncle, middle uncle actually, just dancing to it, and Bio Dad just laughing behind the camera. My eldest uncle, though, he was a big gamer. He had quite a catalog of video games on the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, or actually the Japanese Super Famicom, which he would later give to me as my very own first video game system. Right before I got the PS1 from another uncle. On the Genesis, we would play games like Streets of Rage, known as Bare Knuckle in Japan, Golden Axe 1 and 2, Afterburner, the side-scrolling sci-fi space fighter shooter Whip Rush, and another one that's called Grey Lancer. We also had Dynamite Duke, Rambo 3, Donald Duck's Quackshot, Stormlord, uh, Granada X, Techno Cop, Elemental Master, Jungle Strike, and F-22 Raptor Interceptor. On the Super Nintendo, we would have games like Battle Clash, Destructive, Final Fight 2, Terminator 2 Arcade, Street Fighter 2, Mickey Mania, Batman Returns, Bomberman, Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, X Zone, Super Scope 6, Operation Logic Bomb, Sonic Blastman, Aladdin, and Contra 3, The Alien Wars. And we would play the living bejesus out of those games. So yeah, it's been like, what, 30 plus years since all the good times we had pertaining to those, but they're all gone now. And for me to relive those memories, I would just have to watch concerts of old bands on YouTube and play those old games on emulators on my computer. I just gotta ask, where did the years go by? Where did we go from watching those concerts, dancing our hearts out, and even performing music from the bottom of our hearts, and then playing video games just to pass the time, to just basically not talking to each other much anymore? It's crazy, ladies and gentlemen. We live in a time where relatives just aren't close anymore. I don't know what contributed. The wars that happened, the pandemic. I'm not going to go into further details of those because you already know about it through social media and CNN, Fox News, ABC News, NBC News, wherever. But yeah, my particular case, it had been a pretty dark roller coaster ride. And in relation, I'm going to tie in a good number of details, further details regarding Bio Dad and Stepmom. Where do I even start? I already told you a lot of craziness that happened when I was in middle school and teenagers. When I was a middle schooler and teenager, trying to navigate my 4 schools, two middle schools, two high schools. Jordan, Columbus, Reseda, Coolidge. Let's see. Bio Dad, he was once a beautiful man. He would sing like he's got a really great rock star kind of talent. And he would play a variety of instruments like the guitar, the piano, and the drums. But deep down, he was really troubled. Uh, let's see. I have here uh, a lot of stuff from my dark blue journal as well as my little teal logbook, in which I record my thoughts during breaks from work. Uh, from the top of my head, I can remember Bio Dad just playing keyboards during a sing along session and just belting out melodic tunes like I'll Never Cry by Alice Cooper and I Made It Through the Rain by Barry Manilow. He even sang a duet with my mother called Perfect Strangers. Now I'm sorry, I am gonna have to look up two artists that did that song. Uh, Perfect Strangers song. Uh, Anne Murray and Doug Mallory from 1988. My mom and Bio Dad sang that song beautifully, and it was all recorded for our home movies during that huge sing along party. And I was just there, seated on the sofa, just eating my banana. And then when mom was, then mom stared at me, just laughing her butt off, just staring at when she saw me just eating a banana in front of the camera. If I recall, my eldest uncle had that recorded. After that, I could recall too, my eldest uncle sang Big in Japan by Alphaville. And then, Bio Dad singing I Made It Through the Rain by Barry Manilow. And then, the last of that segment, my mom singing Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers, the lady version of Bill Medley's. Uh, no, not Bill Medley. What was that? Who was that again? It's not Bill Medley. It was Bobby Hatfield. Yeah, Bobby Hatfield, not Bill. Anyway, yeah, those were some of the most beautiful experiences of my life until middle school and high school came around. Long story short, Bio Dad and Mom had a dispute regarding money, and he would ask Mom where the hell was his $1,600 per month of Navy pay going. Mom couldn't answer because she felt that she was being verbally victimized, as if she was like in an interrogation room being questioned by a good cop and a bad cop. So she pretty much froze on that one, and she just couldn't answer Bio Dad. That was a time when Bio Dad filed papers subsequently because he didn't know where the money was going, and my mom was just looking to invest in a good chunk of property back on the islands. It wasn't spent towards boyfriends or booze. She was trying to invest in all her future, and Bio Dad was just so blind because he was brainwashed by his by his Italian American church minister and the creature who would turn out to be his second wife, who he would later divorce. Let's see here. Some of the memories that I had regarding that. Ah, fall 2004. I was going through either a nutrition or lunch line in the school cafeteria at Reseda High School one time, and I'm going to tell you that it was my big fault. I cut through the line, and then there was this huge Mexican guy. We're going to call him Javier. He was part of my class of 2007. And he pulled, I think he didn't get violent with me, but he kind of pulled me aside and then just straight up call me, call me the B word. I'm not going to say it explicitly in this video, but he did call me that. That insult didn't stop there. There had also been like maybe a second or third time that he did that. I wanted to apologize to Javier, but I didn't. I fled like the goddamn coward that I was. And so I told Bio Dad and Stepmom about this instance of Javier calling me Birch. You know what Stepmom said? She went on another screaming tirade because I told her that I experienced a huge deal of fight or flight sensation from Javier's provocations, which transitioned to some kind of kill or be killed scenario. And Stepmom, in turn, went on a verbally violent tirade, screaming tirade, saying that I've been watching too much Top Gun, and she pretty much scolded me into letting that movie warp my mind into something violent. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I was using that movie just to motivate myself towards where I wanted to go after high school. That doesn't have anything to do with my kill or be killed feeling around that time. I'm telling you, it was dysfunctional. All because Stepmom just had a really bad temper from all the stuff that she went through back in her region, her province on the islands. To this day, I don't really know what to feel for her. I despise her. There you go. I said it. I despise her for pretty much stealing Bio Dad away from my mom. It is going to be the 18-minute mark, but I think I can go a little bit longer than 20 minutes for this one. Because I just have some stuff that I need to share for this session. Some more stuff that I need to share from this session. Let's see here. Oh yeah. The move to Coolidge, Arizona in 2006. June 2006, I actually snuck my head into the science magnet office at Reseda High School. There, I popped my head in and saw Bio Dad signing me out of the science magnet program from the school. I didn't say anything. I should have stopped him, but I didn't. Upon coming home via bus and walk from the intersection of Roscoe and Topanga by El Pollo Loco, Blockbuster, and Vaughn's, right around that, and GameStop, I think. No, Payless Juice. I came home, stepped off the bus, walked towards our apartment down at Topanga Canyon and Satakoy Street, which took 15 to 20 minutes. When I went home, he was holding my report card in one hand. And all I could remember was him yelling at me, telling me that I had no sense of direction in life. That I was a lazy bum of sorts, even though I worked my hardest and damnedest in school up to that point. Mainly to please him and stepmother and make them proud of me as best as I could. Especially being his only child. Somehow, those efforts weren't enough. They considered them to be in vain entirely. And so, after that, there was the water dispenser incident. And then after that, stepmom sat me at our little blue rubber table down at the little kitchen that we had. And she talked about my future of joining the Navy and having my very own house and my very own car. And then after that, especially after the number of episodes that I had at school at the time, everything just went into blur. Even though I could remember a good chunk of happenings after junior year of high school in 2006. During the pack out uh, for our ultimate move to Coolidge, Arizona, I remember staying up for 24 hours straight. I think I might have had a coffee or two, but it was just to pack some little things into these medium-sized economic boxes, Boise boxes. I remember having a nosebleed from that time, but I didn't tell Bio Dad or Stepmom out of fear that they were going to scream at me again for having a nosebleed. And so I just grabbed a paper towel and basically just wiped my nose off. It was all uneventful. We also hired a team of immigrant uh, moving workers to pretty much take out all our belongings from that apartment and load them into the truck. And Bio Dad had the money to pay them for their services. But what was really extremely iffy was what happened afterwards. We were driving down from San Fernando Valley down to San Diego. We had two white Toyota Camrys. We went from the 405 to, and then I think transitioning into the I-5 to go to our motel down at I would say around Chula Vista or Encinitas, was it? Either Chula Vista or Encinitas. While driving throughout, I'd see Bio Dad in the lead Camry change lanes like a criminal on the run, frequently. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Never caring about signal mirrors over shoulder, go, the SMOG acronym for responsible driving. I swear, if there was a California highway sheriff with a great decency, that sheriff would have chased him, pulled him over, handcuffed him, and jailed him on the spot. But nobody intervened. We went to our motel. The prized possession that I had at that time was a cheap $15 pair of semi-round aviator sunglasses with gradient purple lenses that I bought from the Walgreens around the corner of Topanga and Satakoy near our apartment. Let's see here. If we didn't take our motel break at either a Motel 6 or a Super 8 back then, or some other cheaper 50 or $40 a night kind of a room, the drive from Canoga Park to Coolidge, Arizona would have taken like 8 hours straight. That is going from 405, I-5, all south, and then going to the I-8 from San Diego through Imperial County, and then going into Yuma, and then Phoenix. No, not Phoenix, like right around Tucson area, because the I-10 is the one that leads to Phoenix. And then, of course, we would have to take the I-15 from Tucson to up north to Coolidge. we did have straight 8-hour drives back and forth from Coolidge to Los Angeles. It was during the holidays of 2006. I happened to ride with stepmom. I didn't ride with Bio Dad because I didn't want his diabetes-inducing screams to basically ear harass me any further. And I just gotta admit, the drive with stepmom was a little bit more quote unquote peaceful, even though I wouldn't really use it for those instances. It was just silent, dead silent. We didn't talk to each other. I could have initiated a conversation, broke the ice, just so I could get to know her a little better, for lack of a better word. But I didn't. It was just impure evil with this woman. So during those holiday drives, it was 8 hours of just silent terror, from Coolidge to Los Angeles, and then back to Coolidge. Until one time, stepmom just happened to insult me and tell me that despite me wanting to become a pilot someday, that I don't have a driver's license. Yeah, well, she ruined that pretty much by having us move to Arizona when I didn't want to get a driver's license, and I wanted to basically get a driver's license from here in California before I joined the Navy. And that proved to be consequential for me not getting a license at all, as I didn't qualify for move director for my plane captain qualifications in the fleet. I mean, if we had stayed and Biodad had gotten a better job at a better company that he was working at, we could have kept that apartment in Canoga Park, and I would have stayed for my senior year at Reseda High School, graduated as a science magnet student with honors. But I didn't. I went to Coolidge High School as a regular student. Although the upside of having gone to Coolidge High School was that I took two AP courses, Government and Calculus AB, and my two teachers, Miss Cheryl Ure and Mr. David Dobbins, allowed me to graduate without ever taking the AP exams. Oh, and speaking of AP exams, I did take AP US History back in Reseda High School during junior year. And it was a little bit of a disaster. When I was getting a D during the fall semester, like in danger of failing kind of D, I was bogged down because Biodad and Stepmom was were offering me to a Filipino girl who happened to be the granddaughter of their family friend, our family friend, back then. And I was pretty much disturbed. I can remember one time during a PTA meeting, I was on the verge of crying and wanting to report my stepmother to my math teacher, the one that I was under for pre-calculus, and in the harshest way possible, stepmom pretty much told me to shut the hell up and stop crying. And it was one time that my math teacher, Miss Jenny Bass, happened to intervene and tell me, "Are you okay?" And then throughout my tears, I just had to tell her, I just had to nod while crying and tell her, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm okay." And then stepmom and biodad happened to hound me when we got home from that PTA meeting. I don't remember what was said, but it was basically chastising me for getting a D in Mr. Scott Mercer's AP US History course. And then, of course, by the end of that fall semester, 2005, I got a C, which enabled me to advance to AP US History B in the spring. Around that, By the end of the semester, the school year, I got a B from that class, all thanks to Mr. Mercer, who happened to be one of the fair father figures that I had in this lifetime. Uh, I can remember too that when it came to pay the $85 needed for the College Board AP US History exam, I asked Stepmom and Bio Dad for the $85. Stepmom then proceeded to chastise me for not having a part-time job to pay for my own expenses to take the AP US History exam. She was reluctant to give me the check in order for me to take the AP US History exam. And when I did, all I could remember was writing my heart out during the essay portion of the exam. If I could recall 20 years ago, that question dealt with women's suffrage, like the right to vote, the right for fair work practices, as they were gearing towards employment during the 1920s, 1930s, and even leading up to World War II and beyond. And I just had to write my eyes out, what with striving to become a writer on the sidelines. I didn't know what I scored back then. Nobody called. But as it turns out, when I was requesting my scores from College Board for entry into Los Angeles Valley College, LAVC, after getting out of the Navy, I had to guess my score, which the rep that I talked to prompted me to do. I said 4. And then the rep said, try again. I'll give you a hint. You passed. And I'm like, okay, it's not a 5, then a 3. And then she was like, ding, 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 ding. Good answer, my brother. And so I was elated. At least that's one great thing that came out of my terror-filled living in Canoga Park and Coolidge. I don't know. Even though I still had a good deal of resentment towards those Twisted 2, that is just one of the few things that I got to thank them for. Okay, I'm gonna try something a little different here as well. Besides my me versus Navy Chief Muay Thai kickboxing comedy skit. All right. Remember when I told you about my $15 semi-round aviator sunglasses from Walgreens, Canoga Park? Well, guess what? I now have a $400 pair of Ray-Ban Chromance silver frame brown lens aviator sunglasses. That was all my efforts being the hardest worker that I could ever be. They all paid off. And now I got a better pair of aviator sunglasses than I had when I was in junior year of high school at Reseda. Not to mention, I have hundreds of PC games on my library for Steam and Good Old Games, GOG, as well as EA Online and Ubisoft. So I just had to do my best to think to myself of how far I've come in life, despite all the hardships and the abuse and the toxicity that I experienced growing up from childhood all the way through preteens and my teenage years onto my enlistment in the Navy. That being said, it is now the 34-minute mark. I'm going to consider this a 35-minute mark. I think I've said enough. Or maybe said too much, like I've always announced in my previous videos. That being said, that's all for now. Until next time. See you guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen. Red Hawk, out. Peace.